Okay, so far, this week, we've learned the quadratic formula, which you just wrote on your foldable quiz. Opposite of b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, quadratic formula. So we did that on Monday. So we learned quadratic formula. And then yesterday, we did solve by square root method, and we just did 2 of those on the board, okay, the square root method. And then yesterday we also talked about when it's in factored form, you set them equal to 0. Okay, so those are kind of the 3 big things we've been doing this week. Okay, quadratic formula, square root method, and then when it's in parentheses, set them equal to 0. Okay. Okay. When you take your final exam in June, if it says solve by the square root method, do you have to do it that way?
No.
Is anybody checking to see how you solved it? No. What are they checking to see? You got the right answer. Okay? So you need to choose the one that works best for you, okay, and get the right answer. You don't have to follow directions when you're solving these, okay?
What if it's a constructive response?
There are no constructive response in this class. Okay? All right.
Number 3, the most easiest method.
Okay, so here we go. Number 1 says solve using the quadratic formula. Okay? However, if I look at this one, solve, that means I'm trying to get the variable by itself. How many variables are here?
1.
Just that one, just a squared. I'm not going to do the quadratic formula, okay? I'm going to draw my line, and I'm going to try to get a by itself because there's only 1 of them. So that should be pretty easy to do. We did this yesterday. What number would move to the other side? So I'd add 10. Add 10, which gives me 640. Drop down 10a squared. Okay. All right, what do I need to do next? Divide by 10 next. So I get a squared equals 64. Okay. What's still with a? The square root. Okay, and how do you get rid of the square root? Square root. Sorry, I said that wrong. To get rid of the square, you square root it. All right. Remember, you can always type it in your calculator just like that to see if there's a shortcut on it. So if you type in the square root of 64, the calculator tells you that it is 8. Okay. And I already saw some papers who remembered one more thing to put in the answer. Plus minus. Okay? Plus minus. Okay? Plus minus. All right. All right. Number 2, solve using the quadratic formula. Once again, I don't feel like that's the easiest method to use on this one. When I have 2 sets of parentheses, it's already been factored. I can set them each equal to 0. X minus 3 equals 0. 3x minus 5 equals 0. Okay? So you set each parenthesis equal to 0. And remember, you have to get x by itself in each of them. So this one, you move minus 3 to the other side, it becomes positive 3. Okay? And that's that answer. This one, 3x minus 5 equals 0. Move 5 over, it becomes positive 5. And you have to do one more step on that one. Divide by 3, and you're going to get a fraction, which is fine. So x equals 5/3. Okay? X equals 5/3.
So you can leave it as 5/3?
Yes, I would love for you to leave it as 5/3.
I got 1.6 repeat.
Math, enter on the calculator. Math, enter. We don't leave repeating decimals. Okay? Okay. Looking at number That one just says solve. First question you ask yourself, how many variables are there here? Just one. So can I get that by itself? Yes. Okay, so I draw my line. Draw my line. We're going to use the method we learned yesterday, square root method. What's the number that has to move away from A first? 5. Divide by 5. Remember, parentheses mean you were multiplying, so you divide. So A plus 8 squared equals what? All right. So 65 divided by 5 is 13. Okay. Still trying to get A by itself. What do I get rid of next? Okay, yep. So square root both sides. So A plus 8 equals, will 13 break down? So leave it with the square root. The square root doesn't disappear on that one. Leave it as the square root. Very good. Thank you. Plus or minus, I heard somebody remind me. All right, plus or minus. Okay. And the last thing I move is plus 8. It becomes negative 8. You can write it like that. You can put minus 8 right there, but on the test, they're going to have it written like this. They're going to have negative 8 plus or minus root 13. That's what it's going to look like as the correct answer that you would need to select, okay? They're going to put the negative 8 in front. Negative 8 plus or minus square root 13. Okay? All right, questions? Okay, number 4, solve by completing the square, okay? All right, let's look at this one. How many variables do I have? I have an m squared and an m, okay? So I'm going to cross this out, and I'm going to make a note to myself. When you have a square and another one, when you have an m squared and an m or an x squared and an x, okay, I think the easiest way to do it is the quadratic formula, okay? So when you have a square variable and then another one, I think your easiest method is going to be the quadratic formula, okay? Remember how you just took a foldable quiz and you have A, B, and C, okay? You got your x squared and your x. Okay, so this is what we did on Monday. If you're going to use the quadratic formula, you have to get everything on the same side, okay? So for the quadratic formula, everything goes to the same side. Everything goes to the same side. So negative 10 becomes positive 10, okay? All right, so stick with me. I'm going to drop down 2m squared, drop down minus 7m. What do I do with negative 13 and plus 10? Add them together, put them together, okay? What's negative 3 plus 10? Negative 3, okay? Use your calculator if you need to. Negative 13 plus 10. All right, guys, and then you label them A, B, C, okay? Then you label them A, B, C. All right, what comes first in the formula? Opposite of B, so that'd be positive 7 plus or minus square root. B squared minus 4AC all over 2A, okay? So 7, bless you, plus or minus square root, negative 7 squared.
So it'll be over 4, right?
Uh-huh, very good. Okay, which part of that do you type in the calculator? Yep, the stuff that's underneath the square root. Good, lots of you have already done that. What do you get? So, okay, guys, I'm going to write this 7 again. We haven't done anything with it yet. So I'm writing 7 plus or minus square root. And y'all are saying, what are you getting under here? 73. And then 2 times 2 is 4. Okay? All right, will 73 break down? No. Nope. Okay, 73 will not break down. It's a prime number. 7 and 4, can you reduce that? No. Nope. So this is your answer. Okay, that's your answer. All right, good job, guys. 2 more. All right, number 5. Number 5, what do you notice about number 5? How many variables?
1.
Just 1. So do you need to do that whole formula? No, you can just draw your line and get it by itself. If there's just one variable, You can draw your line and get it by itself. What number moves first? So I minus 4. Okay. All right, what number moves next? 3. How do I get rid of the 3? Divide it. Anybody? 42. Okay. All right, to get rid of the square, I square root both sides. All right, I'm going to remember to put my plus minus this time. All right, 42, what times what? 7 and 6. And then 6 is? Anything to circle? So it stays 42. Okay? Stays 42. All right, last one. Solve x squared minus 4x equals negative 13 by using the form a parentheses x minus h squared plus k equals 0. What's the key word? Like, what's the direction on this one? To do what? To solve. Okay, it's to solve. Now, we did do a whole day where it asked you what h or k was. If it asks you what h or k is, you're going to have to use this to figure out what h and k is. Okay? But it's not asking you that on this one. It's just telling you to solve it. Okay? So I'm going to mark this out because I don't really need to do that. What I need to do is look at the problem and figure out the best method. Okay? I have an x squared. I also have a 4x. Okay? You can't get that by itself or that by itself when you have two of them. You can't get it by itself. When you have an x squared and an x, you're going to have to use the quadratic formula. When you have an x squared and an x, you're going to have to do the quadratic formula. Okay?
Why are you telling us to use that formula?
They're trying to.
I'm be plugging it in that formula.
Okay, guys, when you're doing the quadratic formula, what do I move when I'm doing the quadratic formula? What moves? The negative 13. It all has to be on the same side. X squared minus 4x plus 13. That's because you have to be able to do the ABC. Okay? You move everything to one side for that because you got to be able to do the A, B, and C. Okay? All right, lots of you are steps ahead of me, which is great. So opposite of B, plus or minus square root, B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Okay. All right, what are y'all getting underneath the square root? Negative 36. Okay, negative 36. All right, square root of a negative, pop out an I. So I'm going to write 4 plus or minus. I'm going to put an I. 36 breaks down to 6 and 6. So it's going to be 6I over 2. And then you do have to ask yourself, will 4, 6, and 2 reduce? Yeah. They all reduce by 2. 2 goes into 4. 2 goes into 6. And 2 goes into 2 once, so they're not going to put that 1. You're going to leave it like that. 2 plus or minus 3i.